She laughed at me the moment I picked up the gun. "Sweetheart, maybe go back to the kitchen." The local champion sneered. Waving his gold-trimmed cap like the king of the range, everyone around chuckled, and I could feel their eyes drilling into me. My hands were calm, but my heart, it was racing. They didn't know who I was, and I wanted to keep it that way. The man leaned closer and whispered, "Don't embarrass yourself here. This isn't a carnival game." He didn't notice my quiet smile. The crowd grew as if they had come to see a circus act. Someone muttered, "Why would they even let her in?" Another one snorted, "This is men's sport." The champion stepped forward, firing 3 rapid shots, each bullet cutting into the target's center like it was drawn for him. Applause erupted, whistles filled the air, and he raised his arms like a gladiator who had already won. He turned to me and said loud enough for all to hear, "Beat that little lady and I'll shine your shoes." I lifted the rifle slowly. The laughter around me didn't fade. It got louder. My grip was steady, my breath controlled. For a second, the world went silent in my head. I pulled the trigger once. The sound thundered through the open air. When the smoke cleared, there was a single hole, dead center, cleaner than his. The crowd gasped, but I wasn't done. 2 more shots followed. So fast and sharp that the echo hadn't even died before the next rang out. When the target reeled back, 3 perfect shots lined up, tighter than any champion had ever made. Silence crushed the range. The champion's jaw dropped, his cap falling from his hand. People leaned in closer, trying to believe what their eyes were seeing. Someone whispered, "That's impossible." And that's when I finally turned my head, meeting his stunned stare. "You wanted me to prove myself?" I said softly. "I just broke your record on my first try." The champion's face turned red, but instead of clapping, he stormed toward me. "That target must be rigged," he shouted, grabbing the paper from the frame and shaking it in the air like it would change the truth. The crowd shifted uneasily, murmuring, some defending him, some pointing out that they saw everything with their own eyes. A man in a leather vest laughed loudly. "You got smoked by a rookie, champ!" he yelled, and the group broke into nervous chuckles. That only made him angrier. He jabbed a finger at me. "Who are you? Nobody shoots like that unless they've been practicing for years. This ain't beginner's luck." His voice cracked with rage. I didn't answer. I just unloaded the rifle and set it gently on the table. The range master, an old veteran with sharp eyes, stepped closer. He examined the target, ran his thumb across the holes, and looked at me with a curious half-smile. "That grouping, that's military precision," he said quietly, almost to himself. The champion scoffed and shoved past him. "She cheated! I'm calling the officials. Hell, I'll call the cops." "You're not even allowed here without clearance." He pulled out his phone, his voice rising. The crowd started recording, phones aimed at him, not me. Whispers turned into excitement. Something bigger was about to happen. I folded my arms, calm, watching him spiral. The truth was pressing at my lips, but I held it back just one moment longer. Then, as the tension reached its peak, I finally spoke. "You're right about one thing. I'm not just a beginner." I paused, eyes steady on his. "I used to train snipers for the U.S. Army." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The champion froze, his phone slipping slightly in his hand. The veteran range master's grin widened, as if he had just confirmed what he suspected. "Explains everything," he muttered. And just like that, the laughter stopped. Now all eyes weren't mocking me. They were filled with shock, respect, and a hint of fear. The champion's hand trembled as he held his phone, but pride wouldn't let him back down. "That doesn't prove anything," he barked, though his voice cracked under the weight of his own doubt. He shoved the phone back into his pocket and stepped toward me again, his eyes burning with desperation. "If you're so good, prove it wasn't luck. Beat me in a head-to-head, right now." The crowd roared with approval, hungry for more. People shouted, "Do it, and let her show you again." The veteran range master raised a brow, almost amused, and handed me a fresh magazine. I slid it in with a sharp click. The champion loaded his as well, sweat rolling down his temple. Targets were set, 2 clean sheets, side by side. The air grew heavy, the silence broken only by the shuffle of boots on gravel. My heart was steady, but my eyes locked on him. He was supposed to be calm. Instead, his hands were shaking. The whistle blew. He fired first, rapid and wild, bullets punching into the target but spreading too far apart. The crowd groaned. I waited, letting him burn through his confidence. Then, slow and controlled, I raised the rifle. One shot, then another. Then another. Each one found the center as if the target was drawing them in. By the time I lowered the gun, my sheet was marked with a flawless cluster. His looked scattered, messy, a storm of missed pride. The silence that followed was louder than any gunfire. People rushed forward, phones held high, recording every inch of proof. The champion stared at his target, chest heaving, face pale. He spun toward the crowd, shouting, "This range is fixed! She's rigged it! Don't you see?" But instead of backing him, the veteran stepped between us, lifting my target in the air for everyone to see. "No rigging," he declared firmly. "This is the cleanest shooting I've seen in 20 years. He turned to me and nodded with quiet respect. "She's the real deal." And then, almost on cue, the champion made his biggest mistake yet. He snatched the target from the veteran's hands, tearing it in half. Gasps echoed. One woman shouted, "Hey, that's destruction of evidence!" And just like that, whispers of calling the cops started spreading through the crowd. But this time, not against me. They were against him. His face twisted as he realized the tide had turned. "Evidence? What are you talking about?" he yelled, waving the ripped target like it proved his innocence. But the crowd wasn't buying it anymore. Phones were raised higher, people shouting, "We saw her shots! You destroyed it because you lost!" The veteran stepped forward, jaw tight. "You just crossed the line, son." "That's tampering." The champion's arrogance finally cracked. He backed away, pointing at me like a cornered animal. "She's lying." "She can't be who she says she is. Nobody just shows up and breaks records. Nobody." His voice shook, but before he could continue, flashing blue lights washed over the range. A patrol car pulled up, sirens cutting through the tension. 2 deputies stepped out. The crowd immediately swarmed them, voices clashing in a wave of accusations. "She won fair. He tore it up. She's military." The deputies tried to calm everyone, but the champion charged forward first. "Officers! Arrest her. She's trespassing, cheating, impersonating, whatever. Get her out of here before she ruins this place." His words were frantic, desperate. One of the deputies raised a hand, silencing him. "Sir, slow down. We've got multiple witnesses saying you destroyed official targets. That's not how this works." The champion froze, mouth opening but no words coming out. Then the other deputy turned toward me. "Ma'am, is it true you served?" I looked him dead in the eye. "I didn't just serve," I said, steady and clear. "I trained the very snipers who protect this country, and I've still got the credentials to prove it." Gasps swept through the crowd like a gust of wind. The deputies exchanged glances, and the one holding the notebook straightened up, his tone shifting immediately. "Then you deserve respect, not harassment." He turned to the champion, whose face had drained of all color. "And you, sir, are coming with us for disorderly conduct and destruction of property." The champion exploded, trying to argue, but the deputies moved fast, cuffing him while the crowd cheered. People clapped, phones flashing, voices chanting, "Justice! Justice!" For the first time that day, I let a small smile slip. As the patrol car door slammed shut, the veteran rangemaster leaned closer to me, his voice low but filled with pride. "Ma'am, you didn't just win today. You reminded every single person here why respect is earned, not given." I looked out at the crowd, their faces glowing with admiration, and whispered the line that burned in my chest. I didn't pick up a rifle to prove myself to anyone. I picked it up to remind them freedom is defended by people like me. The champion thrashed in the back of the patrol car, screaming through the window, "This isn't over! I'll ruin you. I'll take this whole place down with me." His voice was desperate now, shrill. Nothing like the smug man who had mocked me minutes ago. The deputies ignored him, but the crowd only laughed, their phones catching every ounce of his humiliation. The veteran rangemaster shook his head. "Some men can't handle being beaten fair and square." A young boy tugged at his father's sleeve near the front row, pointing at me. "Dad, she shoots better than anyone here." The father nodded, eyes never leaving me. "That's what real skill looks like. That's what discipline means." Those words spread in whispers, until the whole group was murmuring with respect instead of ridicule. One of the deputies came back toward me, lowering his voice. "We've been getting complaints about this guy for months. Always bragging, always bullying, acting like he owned the range. Today you gave us the proof we needed to finally stop him." His words hit hard, but it wasn't pride I felt. It was relief. The crowd pressed closer, asking questions, shaking my hand, thanking me like I had done something for them all. Some were curious about my past, others just wanted to capture a picture. But when a woman in the back spoke, the noise fell into silence. "Ma'am, why didn't you tell us from the start who you were?" I met her gaze and said, "Because I wanted you to see me as just another person, not a title, not a uniform, just a woman with the same right to stand here as anyone else." The silence broke into applause, louder and stronger than before, carrying a weight of something deeper than simple admiration. And as the patrol car drove away, dragging the fallen champion with it, I realized this wasn't just about breaking a record. It was about breaking the illusion that people like me didn't belong. The sun dipped lower, casting long shadows across the range, but no one was leaving. People stayed, still buzzing with excitement, still looking at me with eyes that no longer mocked, but respected. The veteran raised his voice above the noise, holding up the shredded remains of the target the champion had tried to destroy. "Remember this day," he said, not because she beat a man's record, but because she stood her ground when he tried to take her dignity. His words silenced the crowd, and for a moment, even the wind seemed to pause. I felt a lump in my throat, but I forced my voice steady. "I didn't come here to humiliate anyone. I came here to shoot just like every one of you. But when someone tries to strip away your rights, when they tell you that you don't belong, you fight back, calmly, strongly, and with proof no one can deny." The crowd erupted again, cheering, clapping, whistling. Some shouted, "Hero!" Others cried out, "Freedom!" The boy who had pointed at me earlier stood tall on his father's shoulders, cupping his hands around his mouth and yelling, "She's the real champion!" The chant caught like fire until the whole range was echoing with it. The deputy saluted me before leaving, and the veteran gave a firm nod, his voice low but certain. "This range has seen a lot, but what happened today? That'll be remembered for years." As the noise swelled, I took one last look at the distant patrol car disappearing over the road. My chest tightened, not with anger, not with pride, but with something deeper. I whispered to myself, barely loud enough for anyone else to hear, I didn't serve this country to be praised. I served so no one could ever tell me I don't have a place here. And with that, I turned back to the shooting line, lifted my rifle once more and aimed at the horizon. This time, the silence wasn't mockery. It was respect. It was freedom. It was home.